Most people think meditation is about relaxation, sitting cross-legged, breathing slowly, finding inner peace. Meanwhile, hedge fund managers, combat pilots, and emergency surgeons are using the same practice to gain a cognitive edge that borders on cheating. And the gap between someone who meditates consistently and someone who doesn't is widening every single day you skip it. Think about the last big decision you made under pressure. A negotiation, a confrontation, a moment where you had to read a room and choose your next move in seconds. Your heart rate climbed, your vision narrowed. You probably defaulted to a reaction you'd used before. Safe, automatic, maybe not optimal. That narrowing is a measurable phenomenon. Stress compresses your perceptual field. You literally see fewer options when you're activated. Fewer details in facial expressions. Fewer data points from the environment around you. Consistent meditators process the same stressful moment differently. Their baseline arousal stays lower, which means the spike from a stressful event peaks at a lower ceiling. The perceptual field stays wider. They're pulling in more information from the room while everyone else is tunneling. But the real advantage goes deeper than staying calm. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin studied long-term meditators using brain imaging while they watched short video clips of human interactions. The meditators consistently identified emotional micro-expressions, those flickers of feeling that cross a face in less than a fifth of a second, at rates that outperformed trained law enforcement interrogators. The practice had sharpened something specific, the gap between perception and interpretation. Most people see a face and immediately label it happy, angry, fine. Meditators hold that gap open a fraction longer. They see the face before the label lands. That fraction changes everything about how you read a room. When you label an expression instantly, you're running pattern recognition from your own history. Your brain matches what it sees to what it's seen before and fills in the rest. Quick, efficient, and often wrong. You project your own emotional catalog onto other people's faces. The colleague you think looks annoyed might be concentrating. The friend you read as disinterested might be overwhelmed. Your labels are autobiographical, shaped by every argument and awkward silence you've ever lived through. Meditation trains a different gear. You learn to observe the raw signal before interpretation wraps around it. That half-second delay between seeing and labeling, it sounds trivial. In practice, it's the difference between reacting to what you assumed and responding to what's actually there. So, how does sitting still with your eyes closed build this kind of perceptual sharpness? The mechanism is attention regulation. Every time you meditate and notice your mind has wandered, then gently redirect it back to the breath. You're performing a repetition, like a bicep curl for your attentional control. Over weeks and months, the density of gray matter in regions associated with attentional switching measurably increases. You get faster at noticing where your attention has drifted and pulling it back to where you need it. In a conversation, that translates to something almost eerie. You catch the moment someone's tone shifts before they finish their sentence. You notice the micro-hesitation before they agree to something they're uncomfortable with. You register the mismatch between their words and their posture. All of this data was always available. You were just too busy rehearsing your next sentence to notice it. That rehearsal habit, mentally preparing what you'll say next while someone else is still talking, burns nearly all your attentional bandwidth. Meditators break this loop because they've trained the skill of being present without agenda, listening without composing, watching without narrating. The information that floods in during that open state is staggering. You start to feel like you're seeing a conversation in higher resolution than everyone else in the room. And this feeds directly into decision-making in a way most people underestimate. Consider how most decisions actually get made. You gather information, you weigh options, and then something tips the scale. Often that something is a feeling, a gut sense that one path is right. Researchers call this somatic marking. Your body encodes past experiences as physical sensations and serves them up during decisions as intuitive nudges. A tightness in your chest when a deal feels off, a looseness in your shoulders when an opportunity feels right. These signals carry real information, compressed from thousands of prior experiences. The problem is that most people can't hear them. The signal is quiet, mental chatter is loud. When your inner monologue is running at full volume, worrying, planning, judging, comparing, those somatic signals get buried. You override your gut with your analytical mind, and then wonder why you feel uneasy about a decision that looked perfect on paper. Meditation turns down the volume on that chatter. Gradually, consistently, like adjusting a dial 1 click per session. After months of practice, the somatic signals start coming through with startling clarity. You walk into a meeting, and within 90 seconds, you have a read on the room that would take a non-meditator 20 minutes of careful observation to piece together. You feel the answer before you think it. Critics push back here, and fairly. They argue this sounds like mysticism dressed up in neuroscience. If gut feelings were reliable, we wouldn't need data or analysis at all. They're right. Gut feelings alone are unreliable. They carry biases, fears, outdated associations from experiences that no longer apply. The difference is that meditation doesn't just amplify the signal, it trains you to notice the signal and notice when the signal is contaminated. You develop a meta-awareness, the ability to feel your gut reaction and simultaneously evaluate whether that reaction is relevant to the current situation or a ghost from an old one. That double layer of awareness is what makes trained meditators so dangerous in high-stakes environments. They're reading the room with wide-open perception while simultaneously auditing their own biases in real time. 2 tracks running at once. Most people can barely manage one. The compounding effect is what makes this feel unfair. Someone who has meditated consistently for 2 years has performed tens of thousands of attentional redirections, each one a rep. Each rep marginally increasing their capacity to notice, to hold multiple streams of information, to pause before reacting. The gap between that person and someone who has never trained this skill isn't linear, it compounds like interest. You've seen this person. They're the one in the meeting who speaks last and says the thing that reframes the entire discussion. The one who somehow always knows when someone is bluffing. The friend who texts you at the exact moment you needed to hear from someone. They seem perceptive to the point of being almost psychic. They've trained a skill you haven't. The uncomfortable part is how simple the training is. 10 minutes a day. Sit, breathe. Notice when your mind wanders. Bring it back. No app required, no special cushion, no instructor. The simplicity is precisely why most people dismiss it. The brain expects that a powerful outcome should require a complex input. A workout with 17 steps and specialized equipment, a protocol with phases and supplements, and tracking spreadsheets. One exercise. Repeated daily. For months, the meditators who develop this edge rarely describe it in dramatic terms. They don't talk about enlightenment or transcendence. They say things like, "I just notice more," or "I stopped reacting and started responding." The language is plain because the shift is subtle from the inside. From the outside, it looks like a superpower. Someone who consistently makes better reads, better calls, better decisions under pressure, and can't fully explain how. That inability to explain it is part of why meditation remains undervalued as a cognitive tool. The benefits are real, but resistant to articulation. You can't point to the moment it worked. You can only look back over 6 months and realize you've been navigating situations with a clarity you didn't have before. Arguments that would have escalated didn't. Opportunities you would have missed, you caught. Relationships that felt confusing became legible. The person you were 12 months ago was making decisions with a narrower field of vision, a louder inner monologue, and a shorter fuse between stimulus and response. Every day you practice, that fuse gets a little longer. And in that lengthening gap between what happens to you and what you do about it, that's where the advantage lives. That's the space where better decisions are made, where rooms get read accurately, where the signal finally rises above the noise. The gap is open right now. It's been open since your last breath.